Hi, I'm Bella. I'm a languages student studying translation, media and French, specialising in translation. I'm here today at a specially organised meetup at UEA London to find out more about the transferable skills I've learned throughout my degree and how I can apply them to the world of work. Let's get going.
The event here today is one of 200 events that we run at UEA to help students meet employers, access alumni and decide which career area they're best suited to. Each student has their own graduate identity, and what we try and do is get students to think about what makes them tick, their strengths, their skills and their interests, and how those interests can best be realised in the graduate jobs market. Once it gets to the decision being made and students actually applying for jobs, we then offer a critique of their applications and their CVs so that they can present themselves in the best possible way. And when it gets to interview stage, we also offer mock interviews and mock assessment centres. So really throughout the life cycle of the degree, the students should be accessing us, finding out about opportunities for placements, internships and volunteering. We can then put them in touch with mentors, professionals in the industry that they're interested in.
We organise such events for our current students to meet some alumni, and it's actually very interesting for them to come to this trip because they have the opportunity to hear successful people talking about how a degree in languages made a difference.
I think the language degree can help you get any job really. Languages are used in lots of different ways, not just translation like I do. You can use it in banking, investments, communications, media. It's always something, an advantage that you can have over somebody else.
Obviously with so few opportunities, relatively speaking, compared to the number of people who are applying for these positions, I believe it's very important to really highlight your personal qualities.
You were in a graduate job. How did you do it?
I was lucky in that I got a job straight from university. I applied, went out to Germany to get interviewed and got given the job. It isn't always that simple, but yes, that's how I did it.
I believe the internship is a very valid way of approaching the first job. It's a very good way of building up a reputation for yourself, building up that element of trust with a potential employer.
How can our students best prepare and take action?
Take every opportunity, try and get as much experience, real life, hands-on experience that you can, which isn't always easy when you're studying.
Although it's important to be focused in your job search, I think you've also got to take into account the fact that opportunities will sometimes come from areas you don't necessarily expect them to.
Get in touch with as many translators as you can, freelance or in-house, but yeah, get in touch with them, ask them how they did it.
You've really got to go out there and make the effort to contact potential employers. That's one of the great things about studying languages, I think. It opens up a whole world of potential careers for you.
Because it's often who you know or who they know that gets you a job.
Extracurricular activities, they are a very important part of the university life. I'm a very keen sportsman, so I was involved in the tennis club at UEA. I also took part in the Ziggurat Challenge, so organising teams, sports teams, which ironically enough has stood me in good stead for the job I now undertake, managing translators.
With all the students that I've spoken to today, I've said to them in your opening paragraph on a CV that you need to get something across that is going to catch people's attention, some unique selling point. For many years, mine was the one word Venezuela. That got me job interview after job interview because people were fascinated by the word. So if you've got some unusual thing that you've done or some unusual skill, whether it's skydiving or you've been to somewhere peculiar, put it in that opening paragraph.
Have your CV sort of like really spot on. If you have your set eye on a certain career, try and find out who's doing that, how they got where they are now, and make like manageable steps.
I just spoke to one student who said, "How do I get into the BBC?" I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He said, "Well, something or other in the BBC." Am I going to give him a job? I really don't think so. Don't go in very vague. Go in open and willing to accept any challenge that's thrown at you, but with a clear idea of what you would like to achieve.
Emphasise that you've done something different to just your degree.
Whatever your job these days, you need to have keyboard skills, and if you can do it with 10 fingers rather than 2, you're going to get it done a lot quicker.
Approach people. There's a fine line between being too pushy and being determined.
So it's been a great day. Networking is so important to increase your confidence with employment opportunities. I've learned so much from everyone I've talked to, and I really feel like I'm more able to approach the world of work.
Well, it's been a really interesting day here today, just finding out a little bit about careers. As second years, it's all still a bit sort of a new concept for us, and the real world of work is quite scary.
Today's been a really good day, just about networking, and I managed to talk to a lot of people who seem to know what they're on about.
Talking to a translation project manager was really useful, and a freelance translator, because that's the kind of thing that you just have no idea how to set yourself up.
Well, I found it really helpful. I mean, I suppose it showed that like getting onto LinkedIn and that sort of thing would be a really good idea.
This activity makes me know what kind of students the employers want.
I found it really useful talking to people who've gone into different sectors of work, even if they don't do jobs directly related to my degree.
It's good to use LinkedIn in order to find potential employers.
Just to get an idea of how to go about kind of getting into the translation industry. I'm studying translation, but it's like a career change for me because I was in education before.
There was a woman who we met who actually graduated from the degree that I'm doing right now, and she's now working as a freelance translator, which is something that I'd really like to get into, so she was brilliant to talk to, really.
I started to consider options that I hadn't thought about, like trying to combine the languages with the educational experience in publishing.
I really gained a lot from this activity. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's been a really useful day.
Lots of people today have talked about using LinkedIn, getting your profile out there. I think that's a really excellent idea, but it's not enough. It's not enough for somebody to come and find you, for Prince Charming to turn up on the door and ask you out. You've actually got to go looking. Many of the overseas students today have asked me about whether or not it's a disadvantage to be a foreign student trying to get a job in the UK. My answer to that is very much no, it's not, it's a positive. Most of Europe is desperate to do business with China at the moment. We do not have a large number of English people with fluent written and spoken Mandarin who also understand how the business culture works. I think that's a real positive, and at the moment you've probably got several plus points.